All right, thank you. So we're meeting with Byron Burt, currently coach at St. Lawrence High School, formerly Division I athlete for Loyola, the Loyola Ramblers. Byron, I'd like to start there with your career at Loyola, or even before that, just kind of your career as a student athlete for in the college realm. Can you just kind of walk us through like your early journey?
Yeah, for sure. So I started off, grew up in Rogers Park, went to high school at Mather High School. Played there. Didn't do too bad, and had a stop at North Park University, which is a Division III. Then I kind of walked on at Loyola University and kind of finished off my career there with those guys, and that was a great experience. Playing with those guys and learning a lot of stuff, and kind of about how college and athletics and all that stuff works when it comes to all the politics, when it comes to all that other stuff, the recruiting. Learned a lot. So yeah, getting the journey there was tough. It was a hard journey. Hard to worked a lot. Really sacrificed a lot of things to play at that level. You sacrifice a lot mentally. You sacrifice a lot physically with your body. But at the end of the day, I think it's all worth it when you end up getting that degree and you get to walk across that stage. I think it's really important.
When did you graduate from Loyola?
So I graduated in 2018. That was my last semester I had. I had a few classes I had to finish, and I got to graduate that year. And that was the year that the Loyola Ramblers went to that was the year the Final Four. Unfortunately, I wasn't a part of that due to the eligibility that I had. I had like one semester that year, and didn't get to that second semester where I was able to play. Yeah.
I'm sure I know that I did a little bit of research and I saw that Coach Porter Moser went in before the 2018. I believe he began in 2015. Is that correct?
Say it one more time. Sorry.
You had experience working with Coach Porter Moser. I believe he was there even prior. Was it 2015 that he came into the Loyola?
No, I think he was there. He got there probably about I think he got there in 2008, I believe he arrived. So he was there. I know he was there for 10 years. So he was there
a little
bit. Yeah, he was there a little bit before I got there. He was kind of probably in his third or fourth year, I believe, when I arrived.
So okay, and I'd kind of like to go into that as well. I know that although you didn't get to experience the Loyola going on to the Final Four in 2018, I'm still interested in hearing what your experience was working with Coach Moser and kind of the values that he helped push forward for his players.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
My bad. And to add on to that, before I go, just to kind of follow up with Jocelyn, can you tell us about what Coach Porter Moser's vision for success was compared to like the AD for Loyola's vision for success was? Because those two could have two different visions, whereas Coach Moser is like could have more of a basketball mentality, whereas the AD is looking for more of like student athlete success overall.
For sure, 100%. Oh, do you want to do that now? Do you want to
Yeah. That was just a follow-up to her question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, with that one, I would say, honestly, I do believe that the AD and the coaching staff, they do have to be on the same page. And that's one thing that we saw from our administrators from on down to our coaching staff. They were on the same page the entire time while I was there. I would say for Coach Moser, his success, for him, I think it was a big thing on kind of creating culture. I think at the school, that it's been known as not a winning school, not known as having good, talented basketball players, or just basketball players investing in winning. You know what I mean? So I think the whole purpose of his culture was just trying to create better people, create high character people. Do it through enthusiasm, and just be winners. You know what I mean? That's what he was kind of. That's when he was kind of building. And I think with Steve, the AD, Steve Watson, I think he was right on the same page in going the same route with all the other athletics, was just trying to build that culture for the entire university of being a recognizable university, being a winning university, and just having the true meaning of being like a student athlete. You know what I mean? Because going to Loyola academically is not the easiest thing to do. It's a challenge. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that's kind of what Loyola was known for, was we had high academics, academic students. But I think what Coach Moser and Steve, what they wanted other people to know is the fact that we not only excel at academics, but we can excel with our sports and being like high athletes as well.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you, man. That was my question. I just try to get it in before I go here. But
Sure.
once again, much love, bro. I appreciate you helping us out with our project. I'll let Jocelyn lead the rest of the way. And once again, thank you for your time, man.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate you. And good
Thanks,
luck.
Jamar. Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all. Bye.
All right, bye. All right. Yeah, so I see that so the true meaning of being a student athlete is not only to excel in academics, but also in the sports field.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that with Loyola, that's, like you mentioned, it is kind of a prestigious institution in the field of academia, more than recognized in student athletics. So, and then in this instance, when you say not only the AD, but also the coach, did they in specific promote more an academic career over a professional career? Did you see any particular push towards achieving a status in the professional field of athletics?
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say like there was never the coaching staff like didn't push kids, to be professionals. But I think what the main thing was, hearing about the recruiting stories is that what they do is they tell you, like, one thing about Loyola is that once you get a degree from Loyola, you pretty much can go do work in any field that you want to do, after basketball, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like a plan B. If basketball doesn't work out, then you have this great degree from Loyola to fall back on, which I think is important. And I think a lot of kids are starting to think like that now when being recruited. It's like, all right, what's next after basketball? And that's something our coaching staff did a great job of stressing. I think the university does a great job of, stressing that, as well as, what are you going to do after your sport is done?
Right. And I kind of want to go into that as well, like promoting that vision of course, athletics is definitely something that they want to promote, but also having something in mind after that athletic kind of stretches over. Would you say that Loyola in particular offered any specific tools to student athletes to kind of help them achieve success in the professional world in terms of careers after athletics?
Yeah, are you talking about the university or the basketball program? Just the university in general?
Just the university, but I know, for example, we've spoken with athletes from like UIC, and he's mentioned something about how the sports department has worked in conjunction with like the counseling department and kind of advising them into which classes they need to take and how to kind of help manage. So I'm interested in learning what your experience was as a student athlete, especially in such a prestigious school that kind of has a rigorous academic program for their students. I'm curious to know how it was as a student athlete and what your experience with the advisors there was.
Yeah, we had some really dope advisors at the university. They did a great job of meeting with us. We met probably with our advisors at least. I honestly, I was in my advisor's office probably 3 to 4 times a week. Just in there. And the great thing about our advisor at the university is that it's not just about just like your class schedule and stuff like that. It's more about like how are you doing as a person. You know what I mean? So that was important. But they did do a good job of helping us get internships. I think the university is very well connected to where you can, you're meeting so many different people. Like whatever your major was, you got put into that type of internship, and they introduce you to those people. I know for me, I was advertising public relations. I had an internship with the with a PR firm that was a highly reputable PR firm downtown Chicago, and I got to work with some really cool people. I got to see some really cool things in terms of like advertising, and it was a great experience. And I wouldn't have had that if it wasn't for the councils at Loyola who set that up for me. So they definitely make sure that you're connected and you're going down the right path that you're focused on.
So I do acknowledge that they offered those opportunities, and I see that having such a kind of, like you mentioned, having such an influence with Loyola, having all those options will influence you to stay local. We see that you went to Mather and now you're at St. Lawrence, and that's my question to you. Having graduated from Loyola, you've mentioned that it opens a lot of doors for you, doors that you could have gone to internationally, or not even internationally, just across the nation. And here's where my question is: what influenced you to stay local? What influenced you to stay in Chicago?
For me, I found out through actually the Loyola experiences. You know, on the basketball program, we traveled a lot. You know, we traveled to Spain, we went to the Virgin Islands. We've been a lot of places, and it showed me that I'm a big time city guy, and I kind of knew that about myself. You know, growing up, I always wanted to go to Loyola University. I lived like 10 blocks away from the school. So I used to ride down Sheridan on a little S curve, and I used to always see Loyola. And I told myself, you know, I want to be there. You know, I want to play there. I want to graduate from there, and I want to be an alumni from there. And yeah, I'm a real big city guy. I think I love everything about Chicago. You know, I think we have our falls. You know, we have our downs and stuff like that. But you know, I just love the city a lot, and I love what it's done for me. It's created a life that I love and enjoy. So I want to stay here and do whatever I can to give back to the kids that's in that city that kind of grew up just like me.
Right. So it was more that desire to stay local, kind of that innate desire to stay local, than anything that was particularly instituted into you at the university. If I'm getting
right. Yeah, I think for me it was more of a kind of a me thing. Obviously the university, it made me say I was right. Like, yeah, I wanted to be here. Like this was the right place to stay. But yeah, I think it comes from kind of my background and growing up and stuff like that. Just where I'm from. I think that's what made me want to stay local.
So would you say that in experience with like your former teammates, that it's really important to have that kind of that mindset, those goals in mind before you start your college career? And I say this from experience of speaking with another college athlete who's actually currently still an athlete there, that a lot of it comes from just your own personal drive and your own personal goals. So would you say that a lot of your teammates at Loyola already had goals in mind before starting there, or achieving any professional careers? Do a lot of them feel like they want to approach whether overseas or NBA leagues?
Yeah. So I would say honestly, all my teammates, I think I'm talking like from 1 all the way down to the 17th man. I think everybody wanted to pursue, you know, a professional career. You know what I mean? You go in there, and when you go in at such a high level like that, you know what I mean? You know, we were taught like, you know, you're going to go compete until the end. You know what I'm saying? So I think all of us had that aspiration of wanting to go play pro. But I think one thing our coaching staff did a good job of doing is making sure that we were realistic with ourselves, and they talked about how hard it is, you know, to get there. And they always said it's possible, but they always want to know, like, what was your backup plan for it? So yeah, we all had aspirations of doing it. And I think as we get closer to our senior year, you start to see the reality of like what it could be and what it can be, what your chances are, all that stuff. So many factors are played in it. And it's kind of it's a decision that's kind of made right at the end. But I think everybody had the mindset of we're going pro. You know what I mean? That's why we're here. We're here every day. We're working every day. You know what I mean? It's an everyday thing. So we're going pro.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that with me. So I do want to in your experience though, did you have any like kind of that one track mind, or were you always kind of like, well, this could happen, and if it happens is good, but if not, I do have this backup?
Right.
Did you have those ambitions, like were you kind of just focused on achieving the pro status?
I was locked in on. I was locked in on it. I knew NBA was a long shot, but I knew I could. I knew I was focused on having a pro career, whether it was overseas or whatever it may be. That was a focus for me. You know, even the position I was in at Loyola, where I didn't get to play as much minutes as I hoped, but you still got that drive, and I think that's what kind of gets you up every morning, and you're pushing through for that. And obviously, as time went on, as years went on, you start to say, all right, this is what I kind of like to do. This is what I want to focus on. And I found out that I love coaching. I love being a part of the game. I love teaching. I love learning more about it. And, I think that showed me that at Loyola, like, all right, if you can't go pro, I want to do something that's involved with basketball. I want to do something that's, helping other people. So.
And I do kind of want to go into now about your experience now as a coach, not only at St. Lawrence. I kind of did a little bit of research, and I saw that you founded the Chicago Hoops AU program. Can you just kind of go into that for us, like how it was born? What is your vision with it? What's like your plan?
Yeah, so I would say it kind of started, getting toward the end of my career at Loyola. All my teammates was kind of telling me, you should be a coach, jokingly saying like you should be a coach. And I was like, I enjoy doing it. So I ended up creating like a little program because I had a group of, I guess for me growing up in the city, we had a group of kids who admire some of the stuff and, the vision of playing. And we kind of got them together. And we started like just going to tournaments and stuff like that. And next thing you know, these guys are getting good. Like we had some talent on the team where the kids are competing, where some small schools were reaching out to kids and stuff like that. And the program just kept growing. We kept adding on staff, and it became a big city thing. It became a big city thing in Rogers Park. A lot of kids were excited about it, and I felt good. I felt good because we were doing something positive for the community as well at the same time.
So the program, could you kind of go into like the specifics of the program, like how kids benefit from it? Is it what's the age range for the kids, like kind of high school? And
yeah, so we've been growing every single year. Right now we have teams all the way from 5th grade all the way to seniors in high school. So I think a lot of the things that kids get out of there is kind of what I've learned from Loyola, is just teaching them how to be better people, focusing on all the little things that that comes within life, and just trying to teach them life lessons through basketball, and just creating a culture with our Chicago Hoops kids on. If you aiming towards to be a great person, if you try to fix your character and be a good character person, a lot of good things come your way. Rather than maybe basketball or just in life. So a lot of kids benefit from that. We've had tutoring centers. We had kids attend tutoring centers. We've taken our kids on multiple trips where they got to visit colleges, where they got to kind of experience, something that a lot of inner city kids don't get to experience, with the traveling, with the going to tutoring, with getting help, all of this stuff that they don't really get to experience because, that stuff, it's expensive. It's kind of, it's a difficult resource to get. With the connections that I've made at Loyola, the connections that I've made, just being around, a lot of people are willing to help.
So right now, is it kind of structured as a nonprofit?
Yeah, right now it's structured as a nonprofit, basically. Yeah.
So I want to go back to how you mentioned you have tutoring centers for the kids. So your drive here is mainly to just not really just pump out like athletes, but so to speak, more like athletes with social consciousness. Is that correct?
Facts. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Obviously playing at a high level, I don't think a lot of kids realize is, playing at the Division I level it's not only just basketball. You have to be at a high level academically. You have to be able to be willing to take on challenges. You have to be willing to go into a tutoring center and get help and not be afraid to ask for help. So all that type of stuff is kind of what we're trying to teach them early. That way, by the time they get to college, it's not something that's just smacking them in the face that's brand new. It's like, oh, I've been through this already. I've done it. So I know what it's going to take.
Did you feel that you went through that experience at Loyola when you first went in, that you didn't kind of have that support, that it was a little hard for you to navigate?
Yeah.
And if so, can you speak to those specific challenges that you had?
Yeah, for sure. For me, it was real difficult. You know, I've never had that sort of structure, you know, from high school or from AAU. I've never had that structure of how it was going to be. So when I first got in, it was definitely a smack in the face. But I think you learn through your experiences and stuff like that. And I saw I saw how homework assignments was being done. I found out, you know, after we get out of a late practice, you have to go and study. You have to train your mind, your body to stay up and go and study after a late practice. You know, when you're tired, how do you continue to keep pushing through and, you know, get what you need to do academically? So all that stuff is really, really important. I think after a certain amount of time of doing it, you know, creating that good habit of doing it every single day, I think it definitely becomes second nature, and it got a lot easier for me. And but I definitely told myself, though, if I were able to do this like in high school, it would be so much easier. So that was part of the plan when we created Chicago's, was try to prepare you for the highest level of basketball.
Okay. And let me just kind of, so you would say that kind of with the program, you are pushing for more like that same mindset that Loyola instilled in you, that what's your backup plan after basketball? Like, is there priority college degree over going pro, professional ambitions? What would you say?
Are you saying what was the priority we're pushing?
Yes, like, would you say that it is kind of like having that that backup plan? Like, of course, you always want to push for them to achieve professional status if they're able to, but also keep in mind, like, it may not be possible. So with Chicago Hoops, is that something that you're advocating for?
Yeah, we pushing them. You know, we don't really focus too much on like, all right, like we don't focus too much on saying like this has to be like your backup plan, like you have to have, because you know they're kids still, they're still figuring out what they really want to do. You know what I'm saying? So you have some room for error, but you know we definitely want them to focus on being a professional basketball player and say push for that goal. But I think being a professional basketball player, I think the academics is part of that. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a part of it. So it's not really that academics is like a backup. No, it's in the mix with being a professional. Like that's what it's going to take. You know what I mean? You just don't jump right from, you know, high school to professional. You have to go through the college ranks and stuff like that. In order to get through the college, you got to pass your classes and stuff like that. So we don't really put too much emphasis like on, oh, you got to know what your backup plan is, because I think if you do that, you kind of lose focus of, you know, what's your real goal. You know what I mean? You get satisfied and you kind of give in. So it's more of a push towards, you know, go all out with this, but the academic part is a part of going all out with it. Like it's all in one. It's not separated. It's all one thing. You know what I mean? Just as hard as you go with basketball, you should do the same thing with your academics, because it's a part of it. It's going to help.
Thank you, Byron. And I just kind of want to end the interview on with one more question. Would you say that athletes that have gone through the college experience and the professional athletes that have gone through the college experiences are in some aspects more of an advantage than those who kind of have gone like from that jump from high school to, I mean, it may be rare, but from that, or even athletes who have not finished their college career, who have kind of been drafted even prior to that, would you say that some of the athletes that have graduated and have stuck their whole the whole time through their you know, the whole 4 years through college and graduated, would you say in some aspects they're slightly at an advantage over those other athletes?
I wouldn't. I mean, obviously, I think there's obviously like there's some advantages to both sides. You know what I'm saying? I think those guys who are, you know, going one and done and, you know, going to the NBA, I don't think there's a lot of stories on how many kids go back to school while they're in the NBA and get their degree. That's something that's not talked about a lot. A lot of these NBA players are going back to school. They're finishing their school. They're getting their degree and stuff like that. I just think it's not talked about. I think the one and done is the thing that a lot of people focus on. But the kids who finish school and graduate and stay all 4 years, obviously they got the advantage of, you know, receiving that education getting that degree right then and there. You know, I guess you would say there's some advantages to both of them, but if you're going one and done, you know, you're probably going and you're probably making twice as much as a guy who, if you're going to the pros, you're probably making twice as much as a guy who has a college degree. You know, I think that's kind of done too. Like, I think that's kind of like not talked about as well as, you know, these guys are going to the NBA. They're making millions of dollars. How do you pass that up? You know, how do you pass that up just because you want to stay and finish college when you can go do that you can go do it another time? You know what I mean? There's always time to go back and go finish it. But I think there's advantages to both sides. I think it's just how you really look at it. I think it depends on what side you're on. I think you're going to have advantages if you're that guy that's going one and done. You're going to say, this is my advantage. And then if you're that guy that's going 4 years, you're going to say, well, this is my advantage. Because everybody's going to have their, you know, everybody's going to have their own different path. So I think there's advantages definitely to both sides, though.
All right. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me, Byron. This was very helpful, and I'm really excited to kind of go over this with Jeremiah. And we're gonna conclude the interview here. I'll go ahead and stop recording.